Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tartarus Gate Part 2. So, when I first initially started playing this game at the beginning of October, my hope was that I would finish it by now. But unfortunately, I was not able to do so, given that life got in the way. So, because life got in the way, the only thing I could do was just focus on what I had to do outside of the YouTuber instances and everything like that. And for the most part, that seems to be all taken care of. Fingers crossed, hopefully. So, the plan is that I'm going to finish this game or at least record a couple more videos of this game just to kind of get us further into it. And then I'm going to record separate ways for Resident Evil 4. And because the DLC for Callisto Protocol is out, I'm going to record that as well. I was thinking about recording the DLC for Aliens Isolation, um, but I don't think I bought it. Um, but yeah, so a lot of things, a lot of things. But yeah, once again, I'm really sorry for not uploading anything in the last couple of weeks. I really wish that I was able to keep a consistent schedule, but unfortunately, I'm not able to keep a consistent schedule currently, so we'll just have to make do with what we make do. With that being said, I am excited to continue to play this game. Um, just to kind of help me along, and also because some of these puzzles are really obtuse. I do have a guide that's helping me go through parts of the game, puzzles of the game. That way, if I can't figure out certain sections, I have the guide to kind of help me and go from there. I really wish that this game had like a notebook that you can reference whenever you want to write things down. Like, there are a ton of empty books and things like that everywhere, and I'm sure that you can find a pen because Torres drew a little sad stick figure in a box in the first one. So I really wish that there were a way for you to grab one of the many empty books that are hanging around that don't actually have anything in them, and one of the pens, and every time that you come across like information, it would write it down, like have like a little writing down signal symbol in the corner. Um, but I guess they're kind of banking on you to write down the clues and things like that. But that's the thing, is that you don't know if everything is a clue or if only certain things are a clue. Um, So yeah, I kind of wish that I had an in-game system that anytime that you find something interesting, just like when you can call back to Torres and talk to her about things that you've discovered, it would write it down like possible clue with like a little question mark, you know? I think that'd be cool. So the reason why I'm running back and forth and rereading all of this is because I'm trying to make sure that I remember the dates right, which is why I wish they had an in-game system for it, so then you can just kind of go, okay, this and this and this, bam, we're done. But no, this game is basically like an escape room, and it's requiring you, the player, to write everything down on a notebook. And I wish that I had a notebook next to me when I was doing these, but like when I'm recording, I can't really like pause it and set it down, I would have because it would require me to continuously like do that and then go from there in terms of like, oh, well, it's this. Oh, I'm gonna write it down this way. But in the next episode, because I recorded two episodes, this one and the next one. This one's puzzle is not as bad as the next episode's puzzle. So the next episode's puzzles are frustrating. That's the basis of it. It's frustrating. And even when I'm looking at the solution on the guide and I'm looking at the wall that it corresponds with, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see how that's the answer, but that doesn't look like what I'm looking at. Like the there's a poster puzzle and like all of the solutions are to the puzzles are in the room that you're in. And one of them is like, oh, hit the squares until they show the same color that corresponds with a poster that's on the wall. And there's a note on the wall that says that all of the animal posters are the ones that you should only count in terms of like for motivation because they're all motivational posters. But the thing is that the images are so polygonal and blurry that when I'm trying to, they're so polygonal and blurry that while I'm literally looking at them, I'm like, is that a cactus or is that a bird? Okay, maybe I lied. This statue puzzle was equally frustrating as the poster puzzle in the next section. And we're only like a little bit of a way through. Ugh. Okay, so you're supposed to be putting the symbols to correspond with the statues. There's no punishments for not getting it right. It's just kind of like trial and error. Um, but the thing is, though, is that I feel like I tried every combination of it. And with five statues and five symbols, there's like at least 50 different combinations that you can probably do, maybe 100 different combinations before it all starts to look the same. Um, and you just kind of have to keep flipping it one by one, going, okay, nope, and just changing it. And I think this is when I started looking up the puzzle. This is when I started looking up the answers to the puzzles. Okay, so the guide that I looked up had these symbols with each of them. I want to figure out how they figured it out. Maybe it's because they took a lot more time than I did doing trial and error to figure out this puzzle. I can kind of see how each of the symbols corresponds with each of the statues, given that the Lamia one looks like a snake. And I thought at first when I first chose it that that was the correct answer, but then I second guessed myself and I ended up switching it to a different one. So, yeah. I think I had it right the first time. I wonder how he got stuck like that. Given that he's a demonologist, I'm figuring that he's probably saw it, thought it was really interesting, touched it, and then got stuck. So, yeah. But it's definitely some sort of alive substance, like a blob. And I'm guessing if I get the order of the sigils wrong, it kills him. Like it absorbs him fully into it. So this one was a little bit easier to figure out. Um, each of the symbols corresponds with like a different creature, like he said. He goes through what each of them are. Um, but the basis is that the book that you picked up has like a journal, another journal entry that kind of talks about, or a journal entry or a poem that kind of talks about each of the symbols, and you're supposed to be putting each of the ones that they described in the circles, so north, south, east, and west, and then you'll have one symbol that you don't use at all. So like the first symbol that looks like a gate is what they're talking about in the text, where they said that they were in front of a large gate that was protecting them. And then there's one that talks about a crow. So one is the sigils that corresponds with crow, is what you would use for that, and you would just kind of place them in the cardinal directions that they talked about, like gate in the west, crow in the north, or crow in the east, that type of deal. So fairly straightforward, not as obtuse as the one that I talked about with the posters. So for this one, it gives you an option of saying yes if you want to proceed with the ritual, or no if you want to look over your symbols before you do so. If you're ready, go ahead and press yes, and they'll go ahead with the symbol placements that you did. But if you say no, it allows you to exchange each of the symbols to a different symbol, especially if you feel like you made a mistake and you looked it up and you realized that you had the symbols in the wrong place. So I really like Charles as the foil to Torres. She's basically very straightforward, not necessarily black and white, probably black, white, and gray, also because she's a detective or a private detective. And she mentioned before that she didn't agree with the way that the police department handled things, so she ended up leaving. And Charles is very much like, oh, I'm a demonologist, and I believe in the things that are unseen and seen. And for a lot of people, that can be a little bit hard to take in, especially given that finding proof of like demons outside of books and religious text in real life is kind of like you can say somebody was a demon, but it's really hard to prove that they were actually, a physical manifestation of hell. So Charles is interesting because he's like, oh, I believe in all of that. And Torres is just like, uh-huh. And do you believe in unicorns as well? And he's like, well, yeah, most definitely. While our main character, Amy, is like, I'm I'm gonna go try to see if I can solve more puzzles. Alright, so with this key, there were some doors in this hallway that I explored earlier that had the lion motif on it. This one, and then this one at the end of the hallway. I'm going to explore both areas because I'm not sure which one we're supposed to go to first, whether we're supposed to be in this maintenance hallway first or if we're supposed to be in the other area first that I just opened. So for now, I'm going to fumble with my flashlight and try to remember what button turned it on. There we go. This is the area that I was talking about that had the poster puzzles that I'm going to get into in the next one. But for now, we're going to just kind of look over what's in here. It gives you a big idea about who possibly staffs and like puts this mansion back together after the people who are trapped here either escape or die. And I really think that that's kind of funny that it's basically like, oh, it's an escape room. We're just gonna kind of reset all the puzzles once these people leave or like change the puzzles up. And it kind of gives you an idea that this house might be like the Winchester Mystery House, which has a lot of different rooms that are themed for different things. I'm gonna leave the supply room for now, and I'm gonna go up to the second floor and kind of scope out the puzzles that are up here or possibly up here. I'll be going back to the supply room when we start the next video, but I just want to take a look at what's up here and try to see if I can solve anything before we come this way. As of right now, it seems like once you start a puzzle, it doesn't reset. And in order to reset it, you'll have to basically restart from your last save. So let's check out this area and go from there. So hopefully the game will explain as we go. The worst case scenario is that it doesn't. I hate when games don't explain like anything. Like they just expect you to continue going through it and not answer any questions that you may have. Like even though Hideo Kojima's games can be long and have a lot of information thrown at you that doesn't necessarily feel like it's answering any questions, in the end, everything makes sense, at least in the context of the game or the context of the universe. You may need a little bit more, like, brain power to kind of put the story together and contextualize it in a way that's easy to like figure out. But I mean, at least you'll figure it out. And with this one, it's all just escape room puzzles. And in a way, it kind of reminds me of these movies that I saw. One of them is like a B thriller horror movie about somebody who like traps people in like an escape room house. And that one definitely is capitalizing off of the escape room movies 1 and 2 that had came out, where it's people who signed up to be a part of this like escape room. I mean, the one that takes place in the house, they also signed up. They signed waivers to do the escape room as well. But like with the ones, it was for a clear purpose of a prize, whereas the other one was just like, oh, we just want you to have fun. Which begs the question for this, if the prize for us is our freedom and we're no longer trapped in this house, what would happen if we don't actually solve the puzzles? What would happen if we just stayed in place and didn't do any of them? Would we just die? Or would they just let the door open because we weren't interesting? I don't know. There's a lot of things that could happen technically with like this. Given that we're prisoners, we can't leave. The door doesn't open. We looked at it earlier. It was like encrusted in metal. There's no way we would be able to prop it open, and it probably has a locking mechanism in place to keep us there. But it just, I don't know. I wonder what the game or where the game is going to go for this because I am very interested in finding out what they're doing. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, let this go, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.